And just like that, this shows you how much recruiting can change in just a couple weeks, a couple months. But the Oklahoma Sooners, they got a big time visit from an in-state recruit out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, in Danny Okoye. I hope I said that last name right. But the Oklahoma Sooners have seemed like they have gotten back into this race, are trying to position themselves in a good position with Danny, and it is something that we have to talk about. But before we do that, go ahead and hit that like, hit the subscribe button. Let me know what you all are thinking down in the comments below. Do you think Danny Okoye will end up being an Oklahoma Sooner? But let's go ahead and talk about it. So Danny Okoye on Friday went and visited Miguel Chavis and the Oklahoma Sooners. And right after that, he got on the radio with Travis Davidson. And some of the things that they talked about was, well, one, he is now 6'5" and 255 pounds. Some sites have him listed at like 6'4", 240. So definitely a little bit bigger there. But he left Tulsa at around 7 a.m. to get to Norman around 9:30, where, he got to sit down with the coaching staff. He got a chance to sit down, talk to Brent Venables. And listen, Oklahoma fans, you're hoping Brent Venables is the closer that he is. And I'm sure after talking to Brent Venables, that kind of helped make Danny feel a little bit more at ease with saying, okay, yeah, like this was a good decision to come take this visit. So Danny Okoye has 29 total offers across the college football landscape from some of the biggest schools. And I want to point it out by saying this. This has kind of been a fast riser, if that makes sense, in terms of offers. So last year during the 2022 cycle, you really started to see the offers flood in for Danny Okoye for this cycle. So the Sooners reoffered him in July 13th of 2022. And you got teams like Oregon, Notre Dame, Miami, Alabama, Michigan, Colorado, Texas, Ohio State, Tennessee, Texas A&M. Man, that's a lot. That's a lot of schools. But I want to point it out by saying it this way. When the elite schools want a kid like this, and you're able to get back in a recruitment that necessarily you weren't in, which we're going to dive into that here in just a second, that tells you how good this staff is and why you should trust the staff and their evaluations and why you should trust the staff even when they don't land somebody. So let's go ahead and talk about a little bit about what Danny said on the radio, because I found a lot of this pretty interesting. So he felt that he got a little more info than kind of what was expected. So that's kind of what we hear from a lot of recruits. They get to Norman, they get a chance to sit down, spend some quality time with the coaches, and it's super detailed. It's super intentional. He said that OU fell off his radar because of the down season that they had, which, I mean, you can't blame the kid. He saw Oklahoma lose Lincoln Riley. You've seen the class fall apart. You've seen players into the portal, and then you go and see them have a 6-7 season. Yeah, you know what? As a new recruit, that's probably got to play something in your mind there. But like you said, with his rankings, OU just started to fall off at that point. So Danny realized that last season was an anomaly, and it's not what was expected of this staff. It's not what is expected of the University of Oklahoma and what this football program has done. I mean, shoot, just even in the last 20 years. But he started doing a little more research on this staff, what they're capable of, and that is kind of where the communication started to open back up with Oklahoma after he talked with his mentors like Miguel Chavis and seeing what OU is trying to do out there. Yeah, that's kind of how Oklahoma got back into this. So his family, like we have talked about so many times, which is no new news, is pro OSU, right? But this was kind of interesting because his mom wants what's best for him. So this isn't a situation where she's like, no, I don't want you to go to OU. We don't like OU. It's a no. We want what's best for you. Go and do what you feel like is right. Go and wherever you think you're going to be develop the best, based off what you're doing your research and talking to the coaches. So Danny got a time to sit down and talk to Miguel and Ted Roof, which, by the way, I want to point out, everybody gives Ted Roof a hard time, but he said Ted Roof was a great guy, which something you hear from a lot of the recruits. And he said, really envision on how they want to use him in the defense, but also the future of this defense. Which, again, that's nothing new. Like, we've heard how this staff really tries to implement that vision to these recruits so that they can see it. So let's kind of break it down for you a little bit and tell you why Danny is the 148th ranked player in terms of the 247 composite. And according to some sites, the number one player in the state of Oklahoma. Some sites have Zadavian Sims, flip flop, but hey, you know what? They're both good in their own rights. In 2021, he had 78 tackles, 21 tackles for loss, 10.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 3 pass breakups, 1 fumble recovery. Hey, you know what? The kid can do it all. But in 2022, he had 43 tackles, 16 tackles for loss, 6 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 1 interception. But he also did a little bit on the offensive side of the ball as well. So Danny Okoye, a athletic kid that could do it on both sides. So total in his career, 121 tackles, 37 tackles for loss, 16.5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 1 interception, 3 pass breakups, 1 fumble recovery. Here is the deal. If Danny Okoye goes out there and has just a replication of 2022 or a replication of 2021, yeah, he's going to be a top 100 or top 75 player. That's what you were looking at. And he's probably going to have more offers coming in. I mean, you've seen offers flow in late from the likes of Nebraska and teams like that. But there is a team missing on this, and it's the University of Georgia. So I expect that Danny is going to continue to get offers from other schools, and he's going to potentially get other big-time offers as the senior season starts to weigh on, and maybe a team like Georgia and Kirby Smart want to get in on this recruitment. But Danny Okoye from Noah Homeschool in Tulsa, Oklahoma, taking a visit to the University of Oklahoma, talking highly about his visit. It's going to be interesting to see where this recruitment falls because the Sooners have a lot of great prospects at that edge position, whether it's Zena Yumio Azulu, Jason Ross, Logan Thomas, Owen Waffle. So who's going to be the first to strike? Who's going to be the first to take that position? And I guess you could put Williams and Winery in there because he could play the edge position. He could play interior. But regardless, just like Todd Bates is going to have his day of the picking on the interior defensive line. Miguel Chavis? Oh, yeah. He's going to have his pick on the edge as well. Guys, if you have not already, go ahead, hit that like, hit the subscribe button, jump down in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think about Danny. Do you think he'll end up with the University of Oklahoma, or do you think he ends up trending elsewhere?